Today I did something a little bit different. I made some Sims and then I made kind of a backstory, a lore behind them, if you will. And then I went and then I furnished some apartments for them. Just to jump right into it, I immediately knew that I wanted to make lesbians. It's been a minute since I've made gay people in my game. I don't know. I have this thing where I only exclusively play with, make, create gay Sims. And so I really was making this like very conceited effort to make more straight Sims for my save file since I didn't want them all to just be gay, although I certainly could have done that and I don't think anyone would have been mad about it. I just wanted there to be a little bit of representation, some straight representation in my save file. And then I kind of went too far on that realm, and then I just like didn't make any gay Sims, and I'm nearing the end of that save file, and I realized I don't have any gay Sims, and so I have to go back and rectify that. These Sims aren't necessarily for my save or anything like that. They're just for fun. We make a lesbian couple. They're both kind of creatives. They're both artistic, and I was really interested in furnishing their apartment with kind of them in mind. This is flipped. So we're watching cast right now. We're watching me make Mauve is her name. She is an interior designer, and she is the more kind of put together of the two. She has an eye for design, obviously, because she's an interior designer, but she also just keeps her aesthetics up in her everyday life really well. Whereas her girlfriend, on the other hand, Alex, who I imagine to be like a she, they, lesbian type, Alex is an artist and a more traditional, media painting artist. And Alex, while still having an eye for aesthetics, is much more messy, not put together, kind of scattered, a little bit more of my energy. And I really wanted Alex to kind of be like a horror artist, but maybe like a cutesy horror artist. You'll see when we get to the part where I'm furnishing their apartment, kind of the vibe for them. But yeah, so I wanted these two to be kind of like similar, and they're definitely cohesive as a couple, but then just like different enough that there's just that fun differentiation in who they are as people and stuff. So I had a lot of fun making them because, like I said, I hadn't made a lot of gay people when I made these Sims. I made these Sims and this apartment way back in January. So welcome to Silly's vault. I'm Taylor Swift now. This is my vault. I don't know. I had made this apartment and these Sims, and then I just kind of held on to the footage for a while. Didn't really do much with it. So welcome to my vault of videos. There's going to be a few more videos that come out over the next however long. They're just recorded forever ago. Oh, hi. Okay, bump the mic. I'm just trying to get you to say hello. Say hello to them. Okay. Why is he acting like he's never been held up before? This is Watson. He's been a little bit of a baby today. He just wants to be held. So sorry that he's here. So yeah, like I said, Alex is more like a horror artist type. I imagine them to have a more kind of silly and casual kind of style, a little bit less serious, whereas Mauve is a little bit more, I don't know, she takes herself a little bit more seriously, and I don't mean that in the negative sense of the phrase. So yeah, we're just working on making the Sims. I rarely ever do like cast videos. You guys have expressed interest in that, so here's like a speed cast. Hopefully you like it. I prefer a speed cast over a real-time cast. Cast is my nightmare. If you don't know this about me, I hate casts. It's just, I really care about how my Sims look, and I'm very particular about certain pieces, and especially without custom content, I find that it's very strenuous to make a whole Sim in cast. It just feels very tedious. It's a lot of me being indecisive, and I prefer to build by far. And so when I do real-time cast videos on this channel, they take forever because I'm already a slow person. And then when you put recording on top of that, it's like, oh my God, I'll just talk for 5 hours and then I'll have one Sim done. It's crazy. And then I have to edit that. So this Sim, she is a love bug. She is a macabre and a charmer. I can't say that word, macabre. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. Please don't correct me in the comments. Or do. I don't know. I don't care. It's engagement, I guess. I had one thing I wanted to kind of ask you guys' opinion on. I was wondering at what point is it weird if I'm still replying to comments? I don't know. We're almost at 20K. Not really. We're like 3,000 subscribers away, which thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I don't often, shout out subscriber milestones or thank you guys. I think you guys know roughly that I am just a guy and I'm just here and I'm just glad that anybody watches these videos. I'm super surprised by it always, but for some reason lately I've just been looking at my channel and going, "Oh my god, this is kind of crazy." Cuz it's kind of crazy how many people stay tuned, watch me, listen to me talk, tell me really nice things. My last video I did a split level deep dive and the love I got on that video was so great because YouTube told me that nobody liked my video. YouTube was like, no one's watching this. This is a 10 out of 10. You suck. But then all the comments were just so wonderful. And a lot of people who've been watching me for the first time. So if you're one of those people, hello, thank you for coming back to my channel. I promise that all my other content is kind of in line with that. If it's not historical deep dives, it's, lore deep dives and me just overall just being so weird about how I interact with this game. I just go way in depth, and I think that if you like the deep dive vibe, you'll probably like the other lore stuff on my channel as well. But I'm certainly going to make more architecture videos. I already am kind of doing the research for American craftsman style homes because it has a really interesting tie to the arts and crafts movement overseas, but also in the United States in particular, and kind of this reaction that the general public had after industrialization to like double down and really support artists, I think was super cool. And a very interesting contrast to what's happening present day with like AI and then the general public's reaction to AI. And I think it contrasts in a really interesting way. So I think that video, the deep dive, might be a little bit longer and there might be a little bit more philosophical discussion. But yeah, hopefully you guys like it. Also, Mauve, she is creative, perfectionist, and she's skeptical. And then, I forget what aspiration I gave her. I also do all their likes and stuff. Hopefully you can just kind of see and observe that with like your eyes, because I am watching the preview on my little laptop and I can't see it, but it's like this big in the preview on my laptop. So whatever. Hopefully you guys get the gist, and we're gonna go into furnishing, building the apartments first. So kind of to skip around, these apartments I'll talk about in a second, but just know that we're building in Del Sol Valley, and that's where these Sims are gonna kind of live. So that's where they belong, and that's where they're going. Anyways, to jump back to what I was saying about my video, it got so much love. I super appreciated that. If you haven't seen it, I really worked hard on it. I would highly recommend. I'll put one of those things in the corner if you want to go watch it. No pressure, though. If you don't care about architecture, you don't have to. I was just kind of struck by the reception of that video and the comments, and I kind of replied to like nice comments. And then I was thinking to myself, like, at what point is this like weird? Like, at what point is it like odd of me to continue to replying to comments? Like, I don't know if that like stops being okay after a certain point. Like when I was a smaller creator, it definitely felt like the right thing to do. And now that I'm a bit bigger, I feel like maybe it's just a bit cringe. Like it's just a bit much. I don't know. Let me know your guys' thoughts on that. I definitely also have an issue with replying to snarky comments or like kind of mean comments. Maybe I shouldn't talk about this on the internet because I feel like they tell you not to voice your opinion on like haters or negative comments or whatever, because it just encourages people to kind of push your buttons a little bit. But I love to yap and I just love to give my opinion on things. So here I am talking about it when I probably shouldn't, which is the whole problem. Like when someone leaves a mean comment, I don't get upset in the way that it, like, emotionally hurts me or upsets me and makes me, like, sad or, like, makes me discouraged to continue videos. I don't have that problem. The problem I do have is I'm a replier. Like, I'm the type of person where I love my voice to be heard. I like to yap, if you couldn't tell by my YouTube channel. I love to say things. I love to type. Like, oh, if you text me, I'm so sorry. I'm a bad texter, but if I do text you, it's like, I'll just type and type and type and type sometimes if it's a topic that I care about. If I'm on a voice call with somebody, it's like, I'll go off on a tangent. I just love to talk. I don't know. I need to get it figured out. But the issue is if someone leaves like a snarky comment, I want to reply with something snarky back, which I know is not what you're meant to do. And after a certain point, it's like, that's also cringe. Like, you're not meant to do that. You know what I mean? But some YouTubers do it, and they're really cool for it. I don't know. Just a general PSA. Most of you guys are wonderful, amazing, overwhelmingly positive. I'm super grateful for my community. Some people who leave comments, though, I don't think you guys realize you're being assholes when you're doing it. Like, I don't think you realize that what you said is, like, a jerk thing to say. Like, maybe we should check in with ourselves about things that we're writing on the internet and just, like, keep that in mind. Because, like, if you're gonna, leave a crappy comment, I think you should at least be aware that it's, like a crappy comment that you're leaving. Because I think the issue is some of you guys are not aware when you're doing it, which I'm saying some of you guys, by far not the majority. I got this comment on my last video. I'm not gonna say who was by. And it was just kind of an asshole comment where they just said, like, this video would have been actually helpful if it was a tutorial and you walked through how to do this and you didn't just talk about the history. And I was just thinking to myself, like, that's crazy because the title of this video is a deep dive on split level homes. And I never in the title claimed that it's a tutorial. And also in the first 30 seconds of the video, I explained that the format of the video is going to be deep dive, then a little tour of the speed build, and then a real-time build with me where you can kind of follow along a bit if you want to. That video was never meant to be like a tutorial, like 101, you've never built in The Sims before, let me tell you how to build it. I'm not your guy for that. Kindly, I don't have enough patience to explain everything to you like you're two. I believe in you a little bit more than that. Like, if this is your first time building in The Sims, go find like a 101 how to build video. Why are you on a deep dive split level video and then getting mad that I'm talking about the history? It's called deep dive. And they even said in their comment like that they weren't trying to be rude, but it was just such a rude comment that it was just kind of crazy that they didn't like realize that it was rude. I don't know. It was a bit wild. And I think that some people just generally don't realize when they're being rude. And then, yeah, my issue is that I'm just such a replier. I should have just left it. I should ignore it. But then here I am yapping about it because I'm just too much of a replier to just, like, let it be. Because when you're leaving comments on the internet, you should be aware if you're being a jerk. Like, if you're knowingly being a jerk and leaving the comment, that's one thing. But if you don't know that it's, like, an asshole thing to say and you just say it, it's like, I think I would want to be aware if I was commenting on something and it was just mean. For example, I also got another comment. This one's like less bad. This one's like fine. But there was some people lately who've been like, I really want this build. I didn't watch the video, but how can I download this? And I'm like, what a crazy thing to comment. Like, I didn't watch your YouTube video. I just want this build from you. I would love thoughts. Am I allowed to reply to snarkily to comments that are kind of hater-y, or is that cringe? Me calling it a hate comment is cringe, honestly. It's not a hate comment, it's just someone being a little bit out of touch. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear them, because I would love an excuse to continue to be a hater on the internet. I love to reply. I don't know. It's a character flaw I have, honestly. It genuinely is a character flaw, and I need to get it under control. Anyways, to jump into the actual build that we're doing, and to give you a little bit of context, I'll put some pictures on screen of my inspiration. These were inspired by Californian wood apartments. There seems to be like a couple of these that are built. They look aesthetically very pretty. Logistically, I don't know how well they work because maybe I'll just Google this right now in the freaking voiceover. But I feel like a timber apartment in California would be bad because it would be not fire resistant whatsoever. But I guess I don't like, in California, I guess they just have to build out of wood, because what else would you build out of? Other than, I get obviously like stone or whatever, but I don't think that California houses can be built out of stone because of the earthquakes. So I don't really understand. They're really gorgeous. They're also kind of inspired by buildings that I've been in. that are more reminiscent, I guess, like mid-century-y. Sorry, I'm like trying to talk and do this voiceover and Google at the same time, and it's not working. So they're called super bungalows, and they're like gorgeous, so pretty. I love the colors. I love kind of the aesthetic design, the differences in material. And it's by this specific developer, which I have no idea if they're good or bad. It's Super LA reinvents the beloved California bungalow court with mass timber. Um, and it talks about this guy, and I have no idea if this guy is good or bad, if this development is good or bad. This could be like some super gentrified shenanigans happening here, and I don't even know. I just thought it was aesthetically pretty. I struggle with Del Sol Valley in particular. I wanted to build a complex of apartments that weren't ugly, that were more high end. That was the goal with this. And so this is kind of the inspiration that I took and what I kind of came up with. Also Valley, obviously, you know, suits itself to apartment living so well. It's honestly a crime that the Sims team didn't give us apartments with this world. And I certainly want to do some more rundown, cheaper apartments in the future. This lot that we're currently on is in the that little neighborhood. I end up moving it out of this neighborhood because frankly these apartments just didn't fit the vibe of this neighborhood, and the lot was a little bit big, so I move it to a smaller lot. I do 2 buildings for a total of 4 units. I think in real life it would be way more units than that, but in The Sims you kind of have a unit cap, and so I didn't want it to be too big. But yeah, they're basically claiming that they're building really efficient lumber homes with, you know, 21st century timber technology, whatever. It seems a little bit propaganda-y. Honestly, the website is like they think they're doing something. They're reinventing the bungalow. It's very just contemporary, but I think this style is more what I vibe with. There's some contemporary homes I really hate. I like this a little bit more. But yeah, once again, I don't really understand how like prefab kind of mass timber is a good option. I had a lot of fun making this. I used a lot of eco lifestyle and a lot of kind of the newer packs and also CC. So if you are wanting to download this, it has custom content, and I'm not uploading it. I'm so sorry. I know everyone keeps asking me if I upload to the gallery. I don't upload to the gallery, and maybe I should explain kind of why I don't. So it's multifaceted. I don't upload to the gallery, particularly stuff from my save file, because A, it's not done, and I kind of wanted to release it all like done together. That's like the most minor of the points. And then B, a lot of my stuff uses CC, a very small amount of CC, but enough that like I wouldn't want to upload it, and then, you know, it's marked as CC on the gallery anyways, and then if you download it off the gallery, you don't have those files. I would rather it be like a tray file upload that you then put in your game, and then you just have the stuff that you need. I understand that's annoying for console players. I also use like all the packs and stuff though, so unfortunately, and I'm very sorry, my builds just aren't very accessible to a lot of people. In the future, I definitely want to do some like no CC, no kits builds for you all, since so many people have been asking me to download my builds. But disclaimer, I'm never, ever, ever going to be the type of person who's doing like a base game only build. I'm just not. I'm really, really sorry. You know, I do this for fun, and that would just be torture to me, unfortunately. And you know, if you're somebody who's like, the game is so expensive, there's ways. The kits never go on sale, and we have so many kits at this point that I've been so used to building with that are in all of my builds, but it's like multi-hundreds of dollars, and I just don't, so I apologize. I know that's like really annoying, that's part of the reason I haven't been uploading to the gallery. But honestly, the biggest reason is just the CC stuff. Like, I don't know. It seems just like most people, I'm from like Simbler, you know what I mean? So I'm used to like, if you download something, you download like tray files. And I understand that most other people are used to just look you up on the gallery. I certainly agree that it is annoying when you're already in game and you don't want to exit the game and get tray files and all that. So one day, eventually, I will do some gallery, CC free, no kits builds for you all, and I'll probably make a video out of it, and it'll be me complaining and struggling for 40 minutes straight, because that's what all my content is. So I'll get around to that at some point, but just to kind of explain the gallery thing, I think I've explained it before, but I'm just getting a lot of questions about it again, and I wanted to kind of explain myself, and hopefully it makes sense. Maybe it doesn't make sense. I don't know. Also, if you're seeing the shirt, this is a new shirt. It's huge. They said it was a small. I bought this on Depop. I have a problem. I'm going through my closet right now, and then I go on Depop and I buy things. I don't know why. I feel like that's a good idea. I feel like, and I know it's a bad idea as I'm doing it, but I see gaps in my closet as I'm going through my closet, and I'm going, I really want that. And I really wanted some short sleeves, some short sleeve button-ups, like so. And this one is really cute, right? Like, I like it. It's giving like camp counselor, which was definitely the vibe that I've been kind of going for this summer. And they said it was tagged as small, and the measurements looked right, and then it came and it's just ginormous. Like, this is my elbow. Like, I don't know. I think I have to crop it. Okay, Watson, you can't climb onto the table. He's like wanting to get on the table. I'm copying the building over. I do a different like colorway of the building, and then I delete the furnishing out of it. One of them is kind of semi-furnished for like this more gaudy kind of vibe. I imagine somebody who's like gonna be a celebrity. Obviously, this is in Del Sol Valley, so some of the people who live in this apartment are definitely going to be like wannabe celebrities, maybe are celebrities, just people who are trying to get famous for different reasons. So that's what's going on here, is that kind of a build, and it takes me a while to kind of get to the actual apartment. The copying over, Sims team, I always talk to you guys like you watch my videos. You definitely do not watch my videos. If we could just get like a copy building button, like I know we can copy rooms. With the tools, you can select a house and move the house. So the game knows what a house is. Can we get a copy house button, please? Please, please, please. Because copying this over was so tedious, and things duplicated. It was weird. I don't know. So I did my best, and then I made one of the buildings this more like orange red, and then one the more kind of blue, which is inspired by the inspiration photos. I think they looked really good. And then I tried to do like the fencing and the stairs and some of the like piping to contrast like opposite color. So I do like this contrasting color thing with them, where the orange one has blue stairs and then the teal one has red stairs. I think it turned out really good. Once again, I'm very proud of what I've created here. It just was a very tedious, time-consuming process, and I can't even tell you what inspired me to build these. I don't know why. I just wanted to build this day, I guess, and I just didn't work on my save file. I just worked on something else. So at the time that I built this, there was some new stuff in the game, and I used a lot of that new stuff. But now, since this was built in January, this is all kind of like older stuff that's been in the game for a little bit. I still don't have Enchanted by Nature. I frankly don't care about it. Around the time, I don't know if I should tell this story. Around the time that like Pets came out, I cared so much about things coming out, and like that I would be there like launch day. You know when they used to do that staggered launch? Honestly, can I just say the staggered releases, stupid. Whoever's idea it is, that's dumb as hell. There's no reason that Australia should get the pack before people in the States. Just release it everywhere at the same time. I don't care if it's a less than ideal time for everybody. It's just like that makes no sense. We're working on the apartment right now. I did a little art corner. That's where Alex works. And then in the bedroom, there's a desk set up for Mauve. I really would be curious to play with the interior design career and see if it's even operational. I doubt it. That kind of goes into why we haven't bought Enchanted by Nature. It feels really broken. Everything in this game is broken. The game is falling apart. it's a topic every video. I'm honestly sick of talking about it, to be honest, because it's just the same as it always is. Don't really feel like it added anything monumental. And granted, this is kind of the third release now where I haven't really kept up with other YouTubers. I used to watch, at the very least, like James Turner always does like a build buy overview. And at the very least, I would always watch the build buy overviews. And then I would be convinced enough by the objects to buy the pack. And this is the first time this Life and Death, and then I think Love Struck I did end up buying. I don't remember why I ended up buying Life and Death. I think maybe he bought Life and Death. I don't remember. I don't know why. I didn't explain who I was talking about here. Sometimes my boyfriend will go and he'll buy packs for me, especially if it's a pack that I don't really care about. He'll go in and he'll just like buy it for me, which is really sweet. But that's the mystical he who I'm talking about here. Sorry, this like back section of the voiceover got a bit like chopped up. But the last 3 expansions that have come out, it's been the first time that I have really not paid attention to the build buy stuff coming out and all that, and I've just kind of minded my own business. I don't super care. I feel bad that I own all the packs and stuff and that like I build with them all, because I definitely don't want to be encouraging you all to feel like you have to own everything in the game. I've been very open about I don't think the game is worth the money. I think it's a scam. And I think that we can kind of all recognize that, and I've talked about that a lot, so hopefully we kind of get the deal with that. But it is definitely odd to me to not own this expansion for so long, because usually, like I said, if I don't buy it, like he buys it. It doesn't bode well for the Sims team. I'm one of those like their main audience. Like I'm always there, I'm always purchasing. Unfortunately I wish I wasn't. So I don't know what else to talk about. I did a little poll and I was asking you guys if I should do this voiceover at the beach, and then I didn't do it at the beach. My apologies. I don't know. I ran out of time basically, because in order to do this voiceover I had to render the speed edit, and I hadn't rendered it yet, and it would have taken hours to render, and then I would have had to record in the middle of the night, and I wanted my poor hotel mate to be able to sleep, so I just didn't do it. But here I am now. I had an interesting time at the beach. It was weird. We found a dead whale, which I won't talk about too graphically. I didn't like smell or anything. It was very decomposed. I'll put it that way. And it was cold enough that you couldn't like smell it or anything, to the point where at first we didn't think it was real because it didn't smell, because it looked really weird. And it was very like, it was smaller. It was a smaller species or younger or something. And it was just weird. It was very Life is Strange. It felt a bit ominous. Apparently that's happening with like gray whales in the Pacific Northwest area. I don't know. I didn't know that. I just looked it up, and that's kind of the consensus that I saw people kind of coming to. It was weird. I don't know. It did feel very like Life is Strange. And then I was thinking about like, that'd be such a good concept for like a horror comic. I kind of want to make a horror comic right now. I'm watching The Summer Hikaru Died with my boyfriend, and it is so good, dude. If you have Netflix, you should watch it. I think it's Netflix that it's on. I'm sure there's also other places to watch it. But yeah, it's so good, and it's making me really want to do like a gay horror thing. Maybe I should just do some like gay horror art, because I put my work in the show, and the person kind of sent me an email for a call for like horror art, and I'm like, oh, that sounds so cool. So I might just do that and get that onto my system that way. I like on and off have this desire to do a web comic or like a comic. I'm such a storyteller, right? Like I do lore on this channel, etc. I just don't have the time to do a comic. I really don't. And I know that about myself, and I'm not good at completing projects, and it would just be evil and mean if I started a comic and I didn't finish it. And it would take so much time I have to dedicate to this channel, time I have to dedicate to my art. Like I don't have time for another side project, but just on and off, I get this urge to make like a webcomic or a comic, just characters that really would have like this story. My issue is I'm not a writer. I'm not very good at plot. I think I'm pretty decent at like realistic or like interesting dialogue. Plot though, like actual story beats, I'm really bad at, honestly. I'm good enough at it for like I can do children's book level plot lines. I've done a few different children's book kind of um proposals where I have kind of the story beats written out and then I do a couple of the illustrations. I did that in college for my illustration classes. So I have enough of an understanding of like storytelling to do like that level, or like in The Sims 4 where I have a lot of these like kind of tools available and it's a lot of just like interpersonal drama. I get really bad when it comes to like actual plot line because if it's, I don't know, I'm not like a sci-fi reader either. I'm not into really high fantasy. And when I think of a topic or a plot line, I think of my go-to is like sci-fi or fantasy, and I don't have a really good grasp on how you create that. I can create characters and like interpersonal relationship dynamics and like town lore all day, every day. But yeah, when it comes to just actual plot, I feel like I'm less good at that. I'm getting into the bedroom. I struggled a bit with this space. I just wanted to fit a lot more than I think I could fit in this space. And then I had this weird kind of awkward unused foyer area near the bathroom and the door. So it's a bit of an odd space, but I think I did the best that I could with it. And I think I also really tried to do, like a differentiation of space where you could really tell which side each sim slept on and based on kind of the things on their nightstand. Same with like the bathroom and the different sides of the sink. I really wanted this to just be a lot of personality and feel a little bit lived in, but still also kind of being like clean enough and empty enough that your sims don't have trouble like navigating or walking around or anything. So I try to strike this balance with this build. Anyways, I speaking of local history, I got a book about I think it's the Washington Guard. I might pause and go grab it really quick. Okay, I have it here. It's Washington National Guard. It's a military one. And it's interesting because I'm curious the level of propaganda this is going to have in it. I do find like military stuff to be a little bit interesting. Unfortunately, I'm one of those types of guys. I'm very aware that a lot of the contents of this is not necessarily going to be the most accurate, potentially. I don't know. I mean, I'll find out when I read it. I don't recognize any of the people on the cover, having cited as written it. Normally these are written by like historical societies, these kind of images of America books. Different societies will write different topics. This is the Washington one. It's also a soft cover. This is the first time I've like gotten a soft cover one outside of, I have one for Vancouver, BC area. There is like a canning factory. I have one of their books about the canning factory in the Vancouver, BC, like Canada area. I got this when I went on vacation to said beach. You find some of the language on the back to be a little bit interesting. Like Arcadia is proud to play a part in the preservation of local heritage. That word I think sticks out to me, the heritage word. And just the fact that it's about the National Guard. And there's some interesting stuff in here about, things that they've gone like Cold War, Vietnam to victory. And I bought it literally just because I was curious how a lot of this would be presented. They have a lot of like, military photos of the Air Force, planes, the Army, these men, not good stuff. If you couldn't tell based on my everything, I'm very anti-US imperialism and army, but I do still find all of it just very interesting just to kind of know about. I feel like obviously the more you learn about it, the more you hate it, but also, it can be very interesting to read about and to kind of get a grip. What am I saying? A grapple, I think is what I was trying to say. To kind of grapple. No, that's not what I was trying to say. To get a grip on what the kind of narrative is. can also help you to kind of deconstruct it a little bit. Because a lot of this stuff that's in this book, like a lot of these campaigns, like they talk about New Guinea, which is horrific. I will leave a video in the description actually that gives you an overview of what is going on with that area and that whole conflict, because it is startling and it is horrible, and I don't think that Americans know about it at all. And I think that that's the interesting part of this, is like, anymore, I feel like we aren't really taught what even the like mythos of it is. So then it's like interesting to read what the mythos is meant to be. And I think that's what this book is going to be. Not to throw too much shade to the Images of America Washington National Guard book by William Andrew Lenweaver, Richard Patterson, and Dr. William Woodward. I don't have high hopes for this to be like a super honest leftist analysis of US imperialism, but I am very curious to read it. And so I did buy it because I am kind of fascinated by how all of this will kind of be presented, and how much of this is like just war stuff and how much of this is like local Pacific Northwest stuff, because it is Washington National Coast Guard. So I don't know what that necessarily means. National is national, but then it has the state of Washington seal on the back. So I don't know if it's meant to be Washington state citizens. I don't know. So we'll find out. That's kind of a weird note to end on, but I'm at the end of the voiceover. I'm gonna jump into a tour and kind of give you a whole rundown of what I did and the Sims. Okay, so this is the apartment. I haven't done any of the other apartment like furnishing or any of the kind of exterior like landscaping. Like I did a little bit of like the pathways and stuff, but none of the like bushes or trees or anything like that. So I'm definitely going to continue to work on this in the future whenever I have time. But for now, I'm just going to do a little tour of their particular apartment. So you walk in and you are immediately met with the living room. And I put a bunch of details in, like the little freezer bunny is kind of everywhere. And then Alex's like little art corner over here. So that's that. They do have like this balcony. I didn't really know what to do out here. I don't know. This is how it ended up being. That's as far as we got. Here is the kitchen. Once again, I really like the CC tile. I think it looks really nice. And then the dining space. And then you walk in to their bedroom. There's a little corner for Maeve's kind of interior design setup. And then there's some clutter over on Alex's side of the bed, and I think it's really obvious like whose side is whose. Very cute. I liked how I kind of tied together both their personalities. Same with in the bathroom, like very, each of them has kind of their own situation going on, and then they have their own kind of private balcony out there. And so that is their apartment basically. And like I said, all these other ones are just empty. If you want more Chatty Build With Me videos, there will be some videos on screen that you can click on and go watch, including that deep dive that I was talking about. And as always, if you watch through to the end, thank you so much for watching.